All right, and then there was one. I don't know what he's doing. I'm finna say, what's going on here, man?
Lost connection.
Oh, okay. Well, this is gonna be one of them nights tonight, y'all.
Hmm.
He was late and he's losing connection, so I guess we in the right space tonight. What's up, man? You all right?
I'm here, man. I'm here. How about
Okay,
you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Well, um, tonight is a very interesting night. Hey, babe, thanks for waiting on us. I appreciate it.
What up,
Uh,
Tiff?
and all those that have joined in. And don't feel like speaking, that's all right. We love y'all too. Man, this is gonna be an interesting conversation. Because for the most part, people have normally tried to uh make clear about Jezebel's spirit, but they don't never want to talk about that Judas spirit. They
I
don't
don't. I
want to,
don't think I've ever heard of anybody talk about the spirit of Judas.
no, because again, it would do a lot of exposing.
Hmm.
So but it's a good year because I'm telling you, I have a good healthy dose of fear. I just want y'all to know. And so I think we're going to introduce um, the kingdom of heaven. We're not going to talk about it in depth, but I believe it's going to be a conversation that we will begin to speak about because here in the near future, we will be talking about this thing. So that's 100% for sure. So I hope y'all ready. Uh, you ready?
Let's get it.
Mike, bring it in for me, brother.
I don't care how good you are in anything, you don't have discipline, you ain't nobody. You're nothing without discipline. Because you give up under the slightest struggle without discipline. Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it.
Doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. That is a great quote. And if you can do that, you could be successful in anything.
All right, sir. Thank you. Uh, got a question for you, bro.
Okay.
When people refer to the culture, it's really a big, term now. The
Mm.
culture.
Yeah.
What comes to mind when you hear the culture?
It's often phrased as Christ culture, but really what you see more of is you see the culture of said church or denomination, or their vision statement or something like that. The culture is typically centered around those things.
Yeah. Uh, there's a definition that talks about the culture being a collective of beliefs, values, customs,
Hmm.
practices, social behavior. It also talks about when you talk about the culture, it's typically discussing a complex system of shared aspects that defines the group's way of life. Y'all gonna make me start preaching.
Hmm.
Here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. Because we have so many terminologies of culture in Christianity, we fail to understand the definition in itself. And when we talk about culture, what better way to talk about the culture in scripture but talk about how Christ spoke about the kingdom of heaven is like? Now, in all reality, ladies and gentlemen, the kingdom of heaven is a reality that most people don't give clarity to. And the reason why they don't give clarity to it is because they don't understand it. And here it is. We are going to start having this conversation because they're gaslighting us now. One thing I know about preachers, they do very well. They do well about adjusting and adapting, right? I've seen it when they talk about salvation. I've seen it when they talk about that money now, because a lot of them, especially the ones that really don't want to get called out, they've gone from talking about tithing being being a how do I refer to it? Um, being um a must or demand. Now you give from your heart, and if your heart ain't right, then you ain't giving. Y'all keep moving these goalposts. Y'all keep trying to adapt to to this manipulation. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to work. Okay. So here it is. We're going to talk about the kingdom of heaven, because what Jesus was trying to paint for us was a picture of culture that we should be working towards when we do get to heaven. All right. All right. Now here's the problem, because again, one of our issues is that the spirit of Judas is unfortunately alive in church today. I hate to say it, because again, y'all focus so much on Jezebel. And again, we'll talk about her next week, right? We'll talk about that because y'all love talking about that spirit of Jezebel, but there's a spirit of Judas. And when we talk about these spirits, it's people normally refer to how you are behaving, right? I'll be nice. So when y'all talk about the spirit of Jezebel, y'all only talking about a woman who's being manipulative, right? You're talking about how she is acting, what she is doing when it relates to how she's treating people, right? And y'all normally refer to that type of behavior when it looks familiar or similar to Jezebel. Y'all call her, y'all say she got a Jezebel spirit. Well, the truth can be told about people who behave like Judas. Oh, and I ain't playing today. So I want to introduce y'all to something else. I want to introduce y'all to a term that I'm going to coin. Now, I will say I had to take it out of one of them y'all president's books, but a dino, and as you can see how I have it written down here on my little thread here, I have the DINO.
That other cable,
right? I have the DINO, and then I have SARS. Now, if you know for sure, dinosaurs are extinct, but I have abbreviated DINO. That stands for disciples in name only. I'm going to say it one more time. This extinct type of behavior, and again, there's a lot of dinosaurs out here now, but this distinct type of behavior, this disciple in name only, is running rampant in our community. Because people want to be referred to as a disciple, but you're not behaving like one. So here it is. That's why we're going to talk about the spirit of Judas, because here's the reality, and nobody's ever talked about this, but Judas was one of the 12 disciples. Y'all think about this. But was he really a disciple in his heart? Now, we can argue, because I ain't scared of y'all. We can argue the point, but I just want y'all to think about this. Yes, although he was called one, he was not one in his heart. Because in all reality, think about this, because when Jesus tells them in the book of Matthew, I believe it's chapter 25, he tells them to go and make disciples, right? But you can't make something if you're not one yourself. And what I'm saying to y'all today is, unfortunately, people are trying to gaslight us and saying that, oh yeah, we disciples because we go to Bible study, or you a disciple because you in the building every time the church. That don't make you no disciple. That make you a club member in some type of organized religion. I'll say amen to that. Okay? So again, it's becoming extinct. But we're trying to, y'all know how, right? Everything comes right. When trends leave and then they come back, right? Like, articles of clothing or the way we do things here, things come back and then all of a sudden it's back in style. Yeah, being a disciple in name only has come back to style, but it's a spirit of Judas. It's a spirit of Judas. And I want to be clear about this when I talk about this. It's not going to be open to the naked eye, because everybody can tell you they're the disciple. Again, Judas was one of the 12, but he was one of the ones that he had a mission. And Lord, I don't want to get so deep into that. But again, his purpose was to betray Jesus. Unfortunately, that's what it was. But he was a disciple in name only. And I don't want you all to be found guilty of being a disciple in name only. So how do we make sure that we're not being disciples in name only? Well, here's the bottom line. You have to practice Christ likeness. You say, well, I do. No, well, that it determines in the results that you're having, right? Because again, if you are being Christ-like, it will be determined by how you are behaving. Okay? Let me know when you're ready, and I'll unmute you. So here it is. Becoming Christ-like is what the Bible talks about in Romans, right? We talk about having the likeness of Christ in you, because why? All things are working together for the good of them who love the Lord and called according to their purpose. But the purpose is for you to look like Jesus. That's when you have walked in the path of discipleship, is when you no longer look like yourself, but you look like other people. You ready now?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna take the whole hour from you too. I'm ready. What you got?
Yeah, I would say definitely, bro, like we don't hear enough about this spirit of Judas. And I honestly, in all my years, it's always been Jezebel, Jezebel, Jezebel. Particularly to, the young women who may dress what in a way where others may deem it's inappropriate, but they never really dig into the root of who Jezebel really was and what she was about. But like you said, that's next week's conversation. But as far as Judas, it is very, very possible for people to look or be to have the appearance as though they walk with Jesus, yet when the rubber meets the road, we get to what you just put on the table, which is dinos.
Yeah, disciples in name only. So again, I was talking to them about Judas being one of the 12.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, because Judas' behavior became exposed, again, like I said, I don't want to get too deep, but he was the son of perdition.
Mm-hmm.
So again, his life had a purpose. And again, discipleship was it was you following the teachings of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, in my conclusion, Judas would be considered a disciple in name only.
Right.
Because he didn't behave like one.
Mm-mm.
But yet and still the Bible calls him one.
That's right.
And so this is what's so dangerous for us today, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let somebody call you something that you're not All right, y'all let these preachers gaslight y'all if y'all want to. I'm telling y'all, this ain't the right one. This is June, and my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna get in it. But don't let people call you again, right? Y'all always talking about, being misidentified, and they talk about how the haters talk about you. Well, I'm telling y'all, on the other side of that coin, don't let people call you something that you're not behaving like. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you can be one of the 12, but that don't mean you're going to experience the benefits if the discipleship ain't in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like? Again, being Christ-like, right? Walking out the Christ-likeness. So here it is. Being having a spirit of Judas. Let's talk about that. What were some of the things that Judas did in the Bible as he behaved? Because again, remember, people associate Jezebel's spirit to how Jezebel behaved, right?
Right.
So let's talk about some of the things that Judas did in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Okay. What would be one of the things that come to mind to you about how Judas behaved in the Bible?
First thing is when the woman broke the jar of expensive perfume and anointed Jesus. I believe it's in John chapter 12.
Okay.
So a behavior is well, let's just read it and then we'll talk about what the behavior was.
Right.
So in John chapter number 12, I believe is where we find it.
So while you looking for it, let me give my piece on that. Because
Mhm.
yes, when she broke that box, that exposed something in Judas,
Mhm.
which was how important money was.
That's right.
Because if y'all, when he's finna read this, he's finna show y'all. Judas said, "Man, that's a lot of money we could have used for such and such and this." And woo,
Mhm.
Lord, I feel that thing on my back. I'm telling y'all, that spirit is deep. It's deep in the church. Because again, it's not coincidental that the country is going through what we're going through financially, because it's meant to expose that spirit that's more concerned about your money than your discipleship. All right, come on, go on read the scripture, because I feel that help on me. I feel that help
So
on me.
verse 3, so they were at a dinner. This was at the home of Lazarus. It says verse 3, then Mary took a 12-ounce jar of expensive perfume made from essence of nard, and she anointed Jesus' feet with it. Wiping his feet with her hair, the house was filled with the fragrance. But Judas Iscariot, the disciple who would soon betray him, said that perfume was worth a year's wages. It should have been sold and the money given to the poor. Now, I'm going to read verse 6, and verse 6 is going to tell us exactly who Judas was, and it's going to tell y'all exactly who these preachers are,
Yes, sir. Come on.
because they're making bold statements about what we can do with the money if we just give. Check this out. Verse 6 says, not that he cared for the poor, he was a thief. And
My.
since he was in charge of the disciples' money, he often stole some for himself.
They don't want to hear all that.
Now, but
That's
that's
the
the truth,
and that's the spirit.
because
Mm-hmm.
that's it. And I want to partner this with two chapters prior in John chapter 10. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Okay, y'all, we can't mislabel this. Okay, because Jesus says, all who came before me, they were thieves and they were robbers. And that takes us all the way back to Malachi's time, to the old prophets' time when they was dealing with the priest. Okay, because the priest were the one robbing the Lord, right? So again, we want to be clear. The Bible labels Judas as a thief. And so if you got that spirit of Judas on you, you are thieving from the people. And again, we're not saying that you're, getting there, you're forging names and all of these types of things, but you're making very bold statements about building the kingdom with their money, but it really ain't building the kingdom. It's building
No.
your kingdom
Now
and
again,
your vision.
because we finna talk about this kingdom of heaven is like, because in the kingdom of heaven, money is not an option. Money is not important.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about the kingdom of heaven and the culture of the kingdom of heaven.
That's right.
That's again, y'all go read all the times the Bible talks about the kingdom of heaven is like. I'm gonna read my Bible. Don't worry. I'm just, again, this is just introduction to this, because this, my God, the level of depth we're gonna get into this culture is gonna be really ridiculous. But again, to show you, you're going to see nothing materialistic, nothing on this earth will prepare you to be successful in the kingdom of heaven culture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, hold on, we'll get there, because I ain't through with Judas. Another thing Judas had a problem with, the spirit of Judas did not understand Jesus.
That's right.
So if you got that spirit on you, if you got a problem because you don't understand Jesus, because you don't understand what Jesus came here for, because number one, the spirit of Judas love money more than they love God. That's the Bible. So you got to love one and hate the other.
That's right.
And clearly Judas didn't have that, because anytime he could find his way trying to figure out how to get more money. And here's the thing. I don't want y'all to miss this. Jesus let him do it then. And that's why he letting y'all do it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to tell y'all, listen, I don't care what you need to hide, but you better hide them all because he's letting y'all do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just because he let you do it don't mean that you should.
Yeah.
All right, Judas.
And I think that's important.
Yeah.
That you make that statement, because even going back to John chapter 12, and it says not that he even cared for the poor.
Yes.
Right.
Couldn't even care about them.
If these preachers today are operating like Judas, y'all are betraying Jesus.
Yeah.
Because he said, if you do unto the least of these, you've done for me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're find yourself operating like this, again, you can say all of the right things, but when the rubber meets the road, is what you're saying, is it matching up with what you're doing? And if it ain't, contrary to all your statements of beliefs, you're actually betraying the truth about who Jesus is.
Yeah. And again, I don't want y'all to misunderstand, because nobody's going to stand before Christ on judgment day, but you. But if you let these people hype you up and telling you that you're doing this, that, and you know you ain't doing the work, you know that you're not sacrificing your life, you know that you're not making you look more like Jesus than yourself, I ain't gonna pick at you. Okay, one more. Judas was wanting to overthrow the government. He didn't want to figure out Jesus' agenda. He was trying to insert his own, his vision. Judas had a vision, and it was for Jesus to overthrow Caesar. Am I right about it?
It is heavily suggested that was the common understanding amongst the Jews, that they were looking for some relief from Caesar.
And Judas saw all this power that Jesus had. Judas saw the miracles,
and
he said, "Man, well, yeah, we need to go take over. We need to come on, let's overthrow Rome." And when he saw that Jesus wasn't doing that, he was ready to betray him. But again, all those things were working together to get Christ to that cross. Okay? So again, I don't want y'all to misunderstand. There's so much more we could talk about the spirit of Judas, but I want y'all to understand the way Judas behaves today. If you find yourself behaving like that, then you, ma'am, you, sir, may find yourself in a place where you're not preparing for Christ's return. Okay, so you say, well, what you talking about, Brandon? Let's get into this. So again, you would say, well, what's the big problem? You know, I ain't hurting nobody, I ain't doing nothing to nobody. You know, let God judge me. Well, that's fine. I ain't got no problem with you feeling that way. But I want to tell you this. I'm gonna ask a rhetorical question, and I'm gonna answer it for myself. So maybe I'm gonna answer. It's not a rhetorical question. I'm gonna ask the question and answer my own self. Then why is it important that we are to prepare to be a disciple? Because if you think you're going to take that spirit of Judas that you keep working through, and you think you're going to fit into the culture of the kingdom of heaven, you, ma'am, you, sir, are sadly mistaken. It is important. If Jesus went to go prepare a place for you, then guess what Jesus is requiring of you? Is to prepare to go to that place. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll make it this simple. You don't prepare to go on a skiing trip as though you're finna prepare to go to a water park, right? Those are two different types of destinations, right? So if I say, hey, we finna go skiing for vacation, you're not going to go get swimming trunks. You're not going to go get pool noodles. You're not going to go get flip-flops, right? And if I turn around and tell you, hey, we are prepared to go on vacation to a water park, you're not going to go get goggles, skis, coats, snow boots. You're not going to do that, are you? Right. Because when you have been told where we're going, my God, I'm preaching. If somebody tell you where we're going, well, then you want to make sure you're prepared to go where he say we're going. And last time I checked, Jesus had told us where he was going to prepare a place for us. That was to be with him and his Father. And now he said, he goes on this multi-verse discourse about what Christ's culture really looks like, what the kingdom of heaven looks like. Man, this is so revelational. You got something to say before I get in this thing? Okay, good. I want y'all to turn y'all Bibles. I didn't know which one I wanted to get to, but I'm gonna do this one. Let's go to Matthew chapter 13. Because again, this stuff ain't gonna make sense. Nobody is teaching this at all. And I'm not really sure why. Why are we not? We spend so much time preparing down here as though down here is going to last forever. I'm not sure why we're not preparing to go to the very place that Jesus prepared for us. Look.
Yeah, the reality is we spend so much time preparing to live here that we should be preparing to live inside of that new culture.
Yes.
But we're trying to live here and influence this culture, which I don't have a problem with impact or influencing the culture around us. I have no problem with that, right? But when that becomes more of what you're doing versus working on your own temple and helping others work on their temple, it's imbalanced to me.
That's why listen, I'm gonna help a preacher out real quick because I'm sure he's gonna listen. This is why it probably don't make sense to you why you don't understand what more should you be doing after y'all bring people to Christ. Because you don't understand that after you have brought somebody to Christ, which you didn't do that no way, that was already determined because God is the one who determines that anyway. Right? So you didn't do something that God, our job now is to prepare them for the very place that they said that they want to go. But y'all still keep trying to prepare them to make sure that you know you're saved. Okay. I know, because again, y'all won't take that step further.
That introduces a level of accountability.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. That people don't want. And I'm telling y'all don't want it. Y'all should show, y'all may when y'all figure out that y'all need it, it may be too late. So before I get to Matthew 13 and 44, I'm gonna read to y'all a few more verses in the Bible, just in case y'all don't want to go search. Here's other scriptures in Matthew that talks about the kingdom of heaven is like. Matthew 13:24. Matthew 13:31. Matthew 13:33. Matthew 13, verse 45. Matthew 18, verse 23. And Matthew 20, verse 1. Also Matthew 13 and 47. But we're going to go to Matthew 13, verse 44, because I found this one to be the most intriguing. But we're going to talk through them all eventually. Because again, I just want y'all to see that Jesus is not teaching us something for nothing. And for him to go through all those many times of talking to us about parables, y'all think we probably should have been paying attention to that? Yes, we should have. So here it is. It says the kingdom of heaven is like a very precious treasure hidden in a field. Okay. Why would that be important to the culture? Well, because again, we talked about culture. We talked about what those things entail, right? We talked about the culture being how you typically adapt, or how you are engaged in life through the way of the community. What community? The Christian community, Christ's community, right? Again, the values, the custom, the practices, the social behaviors, all associated in this group. The problem is we all are not coming together under the same mind. But apparently Jesus says the kingdom of heaven is like a very precious treasure. I'm reading in the Amplified. Hidden in a field, which a man found and had again, which a man had found and hid again. Then in his joy, he goes and sells all he has and buys that field. And the Amplified says, securing the treasure for himself. Now, just on surface, again, this not gonna make sense to somebody who don't understand what in the world we talking about. Because if you say, well, that's salvation, where? No, you don't find salvation. Salvation was a gift that was freely being given to you. So you can't plug that in there. Okay, so again, just right there, what we're talking about, what? Because again, we're just having a conversation. So we just brainstorming and just talking through it. So on surface, man, what are you hearing there?
This isn't something that it says he found it in a field, right? If you think about a field, think about a cornfield, whatever, right? These big fields. The stalks grow pretty high, right? Yeah. So it's not something that's just obvious to the eye. Yeah. But he finds himself in a field, and it's something that he discovers. And because of the value of what has been discovered, he says, everything that I got back home, it ain't worth it.
Don't even matter.
I want the field. And you know, bro, it takes me to Paul, right? It takes me to when Paul said, enlisted everything, all of his accolades,
personal accomplishments. That's right.
None of that matters with what I have found in Jesus Christ.
Wow. Wait, stop. See, this is what I love. How about we insert that into what was precious? The kingdom of heaven is like a very precious treasure. How about Christ being hidden in a field, which a man found and hid again? Then in his joy, he goes and sells all he has and buys that field.
He understood the value of what was in the field.
Yes, he did.
And here's what we've done in America. We have cheapened the value of who Jesus really is.
Yes, sir.
We've cheapened his value. So everybody can get him, right?
Yes.
And every Sunday we'll just tell you more about who Jesus is, but people aren't really, they're not seeing the preciousness of who he really is.
The precious. No, I'm stopping.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the joy that I have found, right? The joy that I have discovered.
Right.
Yeah. We're cheapening the value.
Yeah. Wait. Watch this, y'all. Watch this. Y'all, I'm finna date myself. Y'all remember the Beverly Hillbillies?
Yep.
Right? What was clapping them out there doing? It was out there messing around in the field. And somebody threw a pickaxe down and they struck oil.
Yes, sir.
Changed their life forever.
It did.
But you know what didn't happen to them? They still was hillbillies.
Sure,
y'all gonna make me get out this chair. Y'all gonna
just
make me get
in
out this chair.
Beverly Hills.
Yes, sir. Y'all gonna make me get out this chair. Because some of y'all just want to strike oil and still keep that spirit of Judas on you.
Yeah, you don't want to change who you are.
You don't want to change nothing. Right? Y'all just want to get oil and then go to the promised land. Yes, sir. Oh, you know I ain't through. Come on.
I'm just going to insert this really quick. This man sells all that he has to build his life around what he had found.
Yes, wait. You know what they call that? They call that investing.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
See, I invest. Do you invest? Yes, I know you
I
do.
do. I
So,
do
yeah,
invest.
yes, sir. So I'm gonna tell you something. There's a thing called a good investment and a bad investment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just give y'all a little history about some, people who invest. Uh, they there's a term that they use in investing, and it's something about having a certain type of hand.
Mm.
You gotta have and you gotta have this gut, like where it don't matter if the investment is going up and down. You gotta have this perspective that I'm not letting go of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they say no matter how good or how bad the investment is, guess what they say? I believe in it.
That's right.
And the people that believe say we ain't letting go, no matter what. See, what this man says was, I believe. That's a part of the
So,
culture.
mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
much in what I found,
Yes, sir.
whatever I got left over there, I want to sell all of that, and I'm all in on
That's
this.
it. Push all the chips to the middle.
Y'all better
Yes, sir.
stop playing. Y'all better stop playing with me. Y'all better stop playing. Listen, they gaslighting y'all up in them buildings now. I'm telling y'all better say the good year. Y'all better stop playing.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't want y'all to, they want you. No, I'm gonna leave them alone. I'm gonna leave them alone. Because y'all I am the least of y'all problems. I'm gonna leave y'all alone. You believe so much in what you found. Listen, I'm there. I don't listen. They'll put me out to church. I can forsake friends. I believe so much in Jesus. I believe so much in what he has taught me over the years. I will not let nothing. Paul says, listen, I don't care what it is. Height, depth, things present, things, nothing can take me away from this thing that I love. Nothing can separate me from the love of God. Again, okay. I know I may be taking that a little out of context, but I'm trying to get y'all to see something. You have to be so invested. And again, you can't invest in something when you still holding on to the spirit of Judas. Ladies and gentlemen, you're a dinosaur. You are headed to extinction. If you are only living your life for man to call you a disciple, and you have no investment in the kingdom, you have no investment in the culture, you have no desire to see what the behavior of those who are headed to a place that is being prepared for you, you, ma'am, you, sir, are not investing like this man did, finding this hidden treasure. Okay, bro, go on. If I mess around, do something else.
We're investing in religion.
Yes.
We're not investing in the kingdom.
No.
See, because we're trying to marry the two together, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
Both.
by your giving today, we're expanding the kingdom. You can't expand something you don't own.
Yeah.
You can't expand something that you have no ownership of. You don't get to determine the expansion of the kingdom of God. Because here's the truth. Your finances do not expand. Your material finances do not expand something that is God initiated and God oriented.
Yes.
It does not. You can't. There's nothing you can do to expand the kingdom. Again, he calls it, he says it is a place not built with the hands of man. So your hands, and again, y'all, as has been said so many times, and we will continue this, and y'all are going to hear this a lot once we get to the fall and start really dealing with this money. The gaslighting is real, y'all.
It is.
The gaslighting is real. And again, they're not coming out and telling you, hey, we're gaslighting you and picking your pockets. But again, the man, when he discovered the field, he went and reoriented his entire life around what he had found. See, we're reorienting our lives around religion, not around who Jesus Christ is, because again, we're trying to, I'm going to call it what it is. It's no different, y'all, than the dualistic worship that the Israelites had in the Old Testament. When they were again, they didn't abandon God completely, but they didn't abandon Baal completely either.
That's right.
If you read through the book of Kings, and they failed to take down the high places, and they failed to take down the high places, and you see that phrase repeated so many times because they wanted their cake and they wanted to eat it too. That's why Jesus points out in Matthew 6, as has already been stated, you cannot serve two masters.
Cannot.
This man found something precious. The kingdom of heaven is something precious, something that has been found. And the response that it demands, if you understand its value, is that now I reorient my life around this. This is what I do. And I love Matthew chapter 4, verse 20. And it's two words, at once. When Jesus first called the disciples, it says at once they dropped their nets and they followed him. They left, they forsook their way of life. They forsook, this is how we earn our money. This is how we make our living. This is what we do. And the text says at once they left all that behind and they followed him. If I can go a little further, if you go to Luke chapter 9, the B part, not the B part, the end of the chapter, verses 57 through the end, you have men who want to follow Christ. But they say, well, let me go back and bury my father. Let me go back and tend to, my things over here. I'll follow you, but let me just go check on some other things. And Jesus says you cannot put one hand to the plow and look back in the other direction as well. So again, I'm saying that to contrast that what this man did is directly opposite of what's happening today. We're trying to pursue the American dream and follow Christ, and it don't work.
It don't work. It don't work. Okay. So again, in all these instances where Jesus is talking about the kingdom of heaven is like, it is a multiple complex behavioral system that's showing you how you have to turn off what you're doing down here on earth and turn on what you understand the behavior to be like for those who are headed to heaven, and you begin to continue to make the adjustment. I'm gonna drop down a little further because I want y'all to see one more thing. I said I wasn't gonna read, but I like this one because again, it's coming, it's giving another perspective about what the culture of the kingdom of heaven is looking like. I'm gonna jump down 3 more verses. It says, I'm in verse 47 now, so I'm gonna change it for those that want to watch. I'm gonna change it now. I'm gonna be at 13 and 47 now. Okay, so I want y'all to see this. It says again, the kingdom of heaven is like, there it is again, a dragnet which was lowered into the sea and gathered fish of every kind. Just look at the parable. It says, and when it was full, it says, they dragged it up and dragged it up on the beach, and they sat down and sorted out the good fish into baskets, but the worthless ones they threw away. So it will be at the end of the age, the angels would come and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw the wicked into the furnace of fire. In that place, there will I ain't gonna play. No, get off of that. Again, this is what the kingdom of heaven is like. And when you try to take that information and plug it into what you see currently happening in all the denominations, all the racial divide, the gender divide, how in the world can you make what? What y'all everybody gonna turn to Jehovah's Witness? Where y'all only think 144,000 gonna be there? I don't understand how could y'all make that make sense from what we're looking at? The Bible says that they were pulling fish of all kinds, trout, snapper, groupie, sardine, whatever. Bass, cat. Ain't just no one denomination. It ain't just men or women. It was all, but it says that the angels were going to separate. And it said they're going to separate the wicked from the righteous. Yeah, I'm going to get nerdy. Y'all do know the people who are considered righteous are the ones that have the faith, right? But I know y'all talking about y'all think this is heaven or hell. No. These are all the fishies in his net. And he says, I'm going to separate the wicked from the right. You're only righteous. That's what Hebrews talks about. See, this is what I'm saying. When you ain't scared to know what your Bible say, you ain't scared to make sense of what is being read to you. Again, who are the righteous? The Bible says those who have faith. You can't have faith and system. They don't work together. Okay. Go on, bro.
Yeah, man. Again, this is a very clear picture because the kingdom of heaven is available to all, right? It is. And again, he casts the net, he gathers who he wants to gather. And as he says at the end of the age, that's when he'll sort, right? He uses the same language in chapter 25 when he talks about the sheep and the goats, right? And then if you go further, slide all the way down into Revelation when it's talking about the new city, who's going to be in the city, right? He says the righteous, but then it's the wicked, those who are unbelievers. And then he lists all of the different characteristics of what they look like. He said these people, they won't have access to the city, right?
Yeah.
So again, another point with that is that's typically how we look at wickedness, right? It's just, the people who are doing the big egregious things. But he also addressed the religious as wicked.
Man, come on.
So again, it's not those who live by systems. And again, I hear y'all. Are you saying we just need to live just a loose life and we don't need to have no structure? If you want to split hairs like that, that's because you want to split hairs, and y'all know that ain't what we talking about.
You're a dinosaur. You a Jew. That's a spirit of Judas that says that because again, what your heart has no desire for discipline.
That's right.
It's impossible to tell me that, and then you turn around and say, "I'm trying to be a disciple." Well, then the very root word of discipleship is discipline. So how could you say that? I ain't arguing with y'all no more. I'm not arguing with y'all no more.
No,
I'm not.
And that's what will be revealed. And I'm glad that Matthew 25 came to me in conjunction with this, because they say, "Well, Lord, we did all this in your name." Well, what has been revealed? Those who are disciples, those who are dinos. Yeah. That's what's being revealed.
That's right.
Because we did all of these things in name only.
Yeah.
We casted out demons in your name only.
That's it.
And it was successful. Why? Because his name was attached to it. Authority was attached to it. So he allowed it to happen. Because he'll use the dino, right, to reach someone who's actually walking around in the field, and then they discover the kingdom of heaven.
Whew, my God. Okay. All right. I was gonna say this for my final thought, but I think we should talk through this for just a second. I'm gonna keep reading my Bible, y'all. I'm gonna go to verse 51, Matthew chapter 13. And watch this. It says, "Have you understood all the things in the lesson of the parable?" They said to Jesus, "Yes." He said to them, "Therefore, every scribe who has become a disciple of the kingdom of heaven is like the head of a household who brings out of his treasure things that are new and fresh and things that are old and familiar." I'm not making this up. He says, therefore, each scribe who has become y'all better stop playing. Y'all better stop playing. Has become a disciple of the kingdom of heaven. If you're not a disciple of the kingdom of heaven, you are not preparing to go to the place that has already been prepared for you. So for a person that continues to say, God knows my heart, and you barely trying to do better, you barely trying to make them changes in your life, you barely trying to look like Jesus, you might find yourself caught up in that net, and them angels gonna pick you up and put you on the wrong side of that street. You go, wait, what do you mean? Wait, you chose this. He didn't say if you a Christian, if you a member of so and so church, that you ready for the kingdom. No, y'all, they're not preparing y'all in them churches to go to have the mind for the culture. They just preparing y'all to help move that vision forward. Last time I checked, heaven and earth gonna pass away.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just telling y'all, you ain't gonna say nobody tell y'all nothing. Bro, what you think about that?
I'm still thinking through it.
What man? I'm sorry. If you're not preparing, then you're a dinosaur. And I'm gonna tell y'all, because I'm gonna tell y'all till I'm blue in the face. I feel like what to do with the red coats are coming. Red coats are coming. What's his name?
Paul
Revere. Paul Revere.
Yeah.
I feel like what don't mature you. What is maturation? It is you walking through discipleship, making less of you look more like him. That's how they always talk about y'all love the sausage, but nobody don't want to learn how to make it. That's how you make the sausage. You have to go through this process in order to be prepared for the kingdom. But if all you doing is taking your instructions from a Spirit of Judas type behavior that again will try to manipulate you, you don't have to give. But why wouldn't you want to give? Because it ain't got nothing to do with ain't got nothing to do with the kingdom. So again, I don't fault them completely because y'all let them do it. Because he said, therefore, each person, every scribe who has become a disciple of the kingdom of heaven. So it's every man got to stand on their own 2 feet. What don't mature you will ultimately destroy you. And if you understand what happened to Judas, that's not a place of uncommonality. It may not be a word, but I'm telling y'all, that'll look familiar. Those behaviors will look familiar. All right, bro. Good Lord, I could keep going. Well, I'm not.
2 things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
First thing on 52 there is what you see is you see, because he calls him a scribe, right? That's somebody who is proficient in
that's right
in the Old Testament, right?
A student, yes, sir.
He shows that that's somebody, because he says that they can become a disciple, right? In the kingdom.
So you mean to tell me the scribes is more informational?
Mm-hmm. If
actual,
it is more informational if you miss who the information is pointing to.
Yeah, bro.
Because that's what he said. He said he can become a disciple. It's possible.
That's right.
It's possible, but you cannot miss who the information is pointing you to. See, the problem with these guys is that the information puffed them up. it swells their ego, right? But he says a person who is a scribe and
and
becomes a
then
disciple,
wants to become yeah.
that's someone who takes that off
Wow.
and says, I understand that this was just supposed to lead me to you anyway.
Paul was a scribe, y'all.
And he disrobed all of his accolades
To
and he
become a
said,
disciple. Yes, sir.
now I understand this is all of that got me here.
That's good, bro.
So I won't pick that up again because what I found is way better.
Found that treasure.
That's it. Found the treasure. And so my final thought is going to be this. For those that never moved from just a bunch of religious rituals into an actual thriving relationship with Jesus Christ. Okay. For those that never make that move, that transformation, you are like a child in a daycare that never grows up. You just keep getting fed the same stuff over and over again. And you have conditioned your stomach, your palate to never taste anything else. And unfortunately, you will never grow up. See, Jesus, what this whole kingdom is like, because again, we start off as babes in Christ, right? But as you mature, see, because a disciple was meant to spend, this process was anywhere from like 7 to 15 years long when it was all the way it happened in first century world, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do not, at year 15, you don't look the same way that you did at year 3.
No.
You're supposed to progress.
Yeah,
the problem is we're not progressing. We're actually regressing.
Yep.
We're not getting better. We're not looking more like him. We can say a lot about him, but our lifestyles ain't reflecting it. So I want to push you to stop depending so heavily on these preachers and understand that Christ wants to have a relationship with you.
That's right.
And he wants you to follow him so that you can grow up and understand what it's going to be like to live in this kingdom.
So I'm going to, as my final thought, share with you the lyrics of a song that I sung when I was younger. And the song says, my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. It says, I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean, not holy, wholly, like all in, fully invested, but wholly lean on Jesus's name. And the song goes to say, on Christ the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. I pray that you all are not standing on sinking sand. Because if you are, you may be sinking unconsciously and you don't know it. And when you finally figure out that you are sinking, and sinking sand for me is like you have become overwhelmed. Again, we talked about that perfect storm. And when you choose not to make decisions that's leading you to the peace of God, right? What the one who keep their minds, the one who stayed. Why should I keep my mind on you? Because I need to continue to prepare myself to go to that culture. You don't go to another country without looking at what they do over there. Because if you try to insert what you do over here, over there, you might find yourself in jail. Because what we do over here may not be what they do over there. And they don't care what we do. That's what we do over there. Well, you ain't over there. You over here.
Mm-hmm.
So I do not care what y'all doing over here, because it's not going to matter when we get over there.
That's it. You can't translate.
Cannot. So again, what them folks be talking about, you know, at the funerals, there'll be no more crying. There'll be no more dying. There won't be no more tithing. There won't be no more pulpit. There won't be no more titles over there.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all better stop focusing on the things over here and start putting your eyes on the things over there.
It's an old song. Turn your eyes upon Jesus.
Listen, you better.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, y'all. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And we will see y'all on the other side of success. And I promise you, success is over there, not over here. We out of here.
I don't care how good you are in anything, you don't have discipline, you ain't nobody. You're nothing without discipline. Because you give up under the slightest struggle without discipline. Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it.
Doing what you hate to do, but do it like you love it. That is a great quote. And if you can do that, you could be successful in anything.